Hello everyone, and welcome to the Freedom Alternative, literally broadcasting straight from the middle of Trump country, somewhere in Indiana. So this is sort of an impromptu video, just to provide an update for the non-patrons, because the patrons have already provided several updates. So the time between my arrival from Albania and the commencement of my US tour has been just too short for me to completely finish editing the Albania videos. So as a result, you're gonna have to practice a little bit of how do you call it, the delayed gratification factor. That's kind of a bit of a tough luck. On the other hand, here in the US, I've already got the chance to attend one political event, and it's going to be another 3 or 4 by the time I leave this place, and there's going to be a lot of content that you're going to love, and if I'm a bit lucky, maybe I can upload many of them whilst I'm in the United States. So in such a way that there won't be extended periods of silence on this channel while I'm here. Anyway, updates aside, let's dive in a little bit on what I wanted to say on this video, which is a bit of reflections from the middle of Trump country. Because, I had understood this portion of the country and this type of style of living from a lot of research and from a lot of speaking with other people, meeting other people, and so on and so forth. But it has never been entirely clear to me many of the details, and now I'm getting a little bit of the details. And the short version of all the details, of course, I'm gonna make a more elaborate video on this, a more scripted one rather than an off-the-cuff one like I am doing now. But the gist of it is, it's the geography, stupid. I mean, look at around this place. This is a single property in the middle of nowhere. Of course, the house is behind the camera, and I'm not going to show you that. But and basically, the gist of it is that the style of living, not just the standard of living, which is not really that different from the city, but the style of living is entirely different in most of the United States of America. The so-called, and when I say most, I mean geographically speaking. When they say flyover country, well, that's basically what they mean. And in this part of the country, these people are not, incredibly highly literate politically and whatnot. But to them, the values that we push, the values of personal responsibility, personal accountability, basically conservatism, they just come natural to them. I mean, to them, it makes perfect sense for them to take care of their own shit and not expect the government to do it for them. For all the leftists that may accidentally end up on this channel, and they keep asking, why do those rednecks basically reject our progress and our diversity and our fantastic society that we're building, which is entirely bollocks anyway. You're not building anything, you're destroying, you bloody cunts. Anyway, for all the leftists who might ask themselves, why do these people in the so-called flyover country not just reject, but fundamentally reject anything that has anything whatsoever to do with big government and leftism in general? The reason is because to these people it is self-evidently true that leftism is incompatible with the way they live, with their way of life, and basically with the human nature. So, and besides, there's also the practical reasons. I mean, around this place, I don't need a license to write this. I don't need a license to, smoke next to a park. I don't need a license to whatever. Around this part of the country, if you want to do something, just do it, as long as you don't hurt everyone else. And that's it. Nobody asks further questions. Nobody cares to ask further questions because everyone else has their own business going. So, that's why a few years ago when I made the video about the value of discretion, I was lauding the fact that one of the first coins minted in the United States had the motto on it. It didn't have e pluribus unum. It had mind your business. Because these people just mind their own business as long as you don't try to mind their business. In which case, if you do, well, let's just say things ain't gonna work out that well, mate. So yeah, there's that. So basically geography. This is something that you can only understand once you actually get to experience it, even for a little bit. Which is why I kept on abstaining from talking about these parts of the country until I got the chance to actually come here. Because, here's another thing. Most of the commentators, not just on YouTube, but also in the cathedral media, or I would rather say, especially in the cathedral media, they tend to have a lot of opinions about a lot of countries and a lot of places that they've never been into, let alone do at least a minimal reading about it. Which is another reason why when I get some requests from some of you all there, why don't you speak about Saudi Arabia? Or, well, I've never been to Saudi Arabia. I know a lot of things about Saudi Arabia, but I've never been there. Or why don't you speak about, someone asked me to do a video about China, and I'm like, I don't know enough about China. And, you cannot say you visited China if you spent 4 days in Beijing. No. If you want to say you visited China, you have to go to the very least 4 or 5 provinces, preferably one of them non-Chinese and so on. That's when you can actually say that you have visited China. Same thing with the United States. I was talking about the mainstream political stuff because that's very similar to Europe and very easy to understand, at least from my perspective. But, I've postponed talking about the countryside, the flyover country, precisely because I had not yet been there. But now that I have, well, I'm going to have a lot more insights to offer. So yeah, basically, again, mind your business. And that is why I love this place. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, these days that I'm getting to spend here in Indiana, in the rural areas, this is one of the biggest, if not the biggest highlight of my visit in this country. Because this is the portion, this is where real America lives. Because, in Chicago, it was... I still don't understand why people choose to live in Chicago, other than, you have a very, very high, well-paying job and whatnot. But other than that, why? I mean, this is where real life happens. This is where you get to grow as a human being, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, just saying. So yeah, that's basically all I had to say for now. It's gonna take several more days until I'll have some new things to say, because traveling in this country is in and of itself a burden. You travel for a whole day, then you have to rest for a whole day, then maybe do some stuff, and then again travel for another day. The distances are very, very big between these. But nevertheless, I will try my best to visit as many places as possible within this short time frame, this short period of time that I'm spending inside the United States, and hopefully I'll have enough content to gather from here to offer it to you. So yeah. By the way, towards the end of, I guess this week, by the time this one goes online, I will be in the Washington, D.C. area. So if there's any D.C. fans, send me an email, basically. That's the best option. Don't leave a comment. Basically, send me an email. It's even better. And maybe we can set up something. Maybe we can have a chat for a few hours or so. So yeah, I guess with all of that being said, I'm gonna go back to being a little bit of a redneck, basically fool around a little bit more, and then I guess I'll see you all soon. Cheers.